Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Drew, and if you're new here, I post a lot of reading, writing, book videos, and content. So if that's something you would enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Okay, so as you might have already seen, today I am going to be attempting to read Nancy Drew books for 24 hours. Now, I know I said I wouldn't do another 24-hour reading challenge because it was exhausting, and at the end, I did not want to read. So today, I'm not going to be reading for 24 hours straight. I'm just going to be reading for like maybe 5 hours at a time, 2 hours at a time, and I'll just keep pausing and then like restarting the timer so that I don't read for the full 24 hours, but I still have read the amount of 24 hours, if you get what I mean. So today I have decided not to just pick any book. I want to get through my Nancy Drew books. As some of you might have seen in some videos, I have a full shelf of Nancy Drew books. I have a lot of them. I think there's like around 80 original Nancy Drew books that look like this. Not like the new versions. I don't know. These are like the old classic ones. So I have about 70 of those. Towards the end, I don't have as many. And I haven't read all of them, which is very surprising. But I went through my bookshelf. I looked at all of the ones I've read. And these are the ones that I haven't read yet. So I just want to kind of get through as many of them as I can in this video. And then I also wanted to see like how long it would take me to read each individual one. I think that would be really cool since they're not that long. They're like 170 pages, very thin mystery books. So I want to see like how many I can get through in 24 hours and then as well as how long it takes to actually read one. So with all that said, I have started The Twin Dilemma, which is number 63. And I started it last night. I'm about 50 pages in, and so I'm gonna start reading this one. Hopefully I finish this soon, and then I think I'm not gonna go in order. I feel like to make it easier for myself, I'm just gonna look at my stack of about like 10 books and then choose whichever one looks the most intriguing and interesting so that I like want to read it more. Because some of them, the themes are like not as interesting for me. Like the mystery is still good, and these books are so nostalgic, but the actual like where she goes or what she does isn't as interesting. So I want to be able to like pick and choose. And I think I've said everything I need to say. I should stop stalling. We should get reading. Today feels like just a sit in bed and read day. I have my sweatpants on. So I think we're just gonna get started and start the timer. Okay, so it is the next day, and last night I did finish The Twin Dilemma. I gave it 5 stars. Obviously, all Nancy Drew books are good. It was really short though. I finished this in like one day. And I was about 22 hours left when I finished this. So that means it took me 2 hours, around 2 hours, to read one of these. So knowing that, I think I can get to all of these books in 24 hours. As long as I keep up with this 2-hour reading time, then I think I'm gonna finish them all. Or at least maybe have like 1 or 2 left, which is really good. So I think I'm gonna read another book at the moment, but I will let you know when I start another Nancy Drew book, maybe later today. Okay, so it is much later now. It's 6:30 tonight, and I did a bunch of other stuff today, but I finally am getting around to starting the next Nancy Drew book for this 24-hour challenge. I have all the stack right here, and I want to look through. I'm not sure which I'm gonna pick, but I think it definitely helps that I'm going off of just what I'm feeling instead of like the numbers, so that I definitely want to read them more. Okay, so I think the book I'm going to pick is number 51. This one is called Mystery of the Glowing Eye. I thought I read this before, but I like read the description inside and I don't remember it. There are a lot, so as I read this, I might have already read this one, but I don't think so. Anyway, so this one looks pretty cool. Looks like there's like a cyclops and an eye. It also is like one of the old covers and not like one of the new bright shiny covers, so that'll be cool. So that's cool. I like the old original design. Okay, I'm gonna start this book and the timer, and I guess I'll just keep you guys updated. Okay, I'm at page like 30 right now in this book. It is a little familiar. I feel like I might have read it before, but there's also parts that I feel like I've never read before. So I don't know, maybe it's a similar book that I read, but I think it's like long enough that I'm not gonna remember, because I don't remember like the ending and like how the mystery turns out, so I think it's gonna be okay. Okay, and I'm gonna try to read till like page 50 until I get up and do something else. So a long time since I've updated. A couple months actually since I've been reading Nancy Drew, which is crazy, but all that matters is that I'm back at it. I started this video in like November and now it's like February, so anyways, the timer got like messed up, but I do remember that I was at 12 hours, so I just have another 12 hours to read. Hopefully within the next week I can do this. I'm gonna try really hard to get this done, but I just finished this book. This is called The Secret of Mirror Bay, and I read this in like a day or 2 or 3. I read like small parts, and then last night and this morning I've just been reading a ton and finished it. But yeah, so on the timer I just hit 3 hours, and yeah, that's my update for now. I actually had already read this book and I didn't even realize until like halfway through, just because it was so long ago, but it was like familiar, and I was like, maybe this is like a different, because there was like parts I didn't remember and some parts I did. But yeah, I've definitely read this before. But it's okay, I like rereading. So this is the 5th book that I have read in this video. So now we're gonna go pick out the next book I'm gonna read. Okay, so this is Future Drew editing here, and I just realized that I have like some lost footage that doesn't show me reading like 2 books, which is expected when it literally took me like 4 or 5 months to film this video. But besides that, I'm just gonna give you like a little update of those books, since I guess I didn't film them. Or I did, but they got lost. So I just showed The Secret of Mirror Bay, which I think I just like read mostly off camera but showed the end of. And then the other 2 books were The Greek Symbol Mystery and The Secret in the Old Lace. And I thought I filmed myself reading these books, but maybe I did and I just don't have the footage. But I read both of these books. I really like both of them too. They're like my favorite so far. Anyways, these 2 are the missing books that you don't see. Okay, back to the video. Okay, so these are the books that I have to choose from that I haven't read, or that I think I haven't read.
So we have Captive Witness, we have The Flying Saucer Mystery, which I feel like I might have read, 13th Pearl, which I definitely have not, the Kachina Doll Mystery, and then The Swami's Ring. I think I'm gonna go with the 13th Pearl just because I have been wanting to read this and own this book for so long. Like, whenever I looked on the back of my Nancy Drew books, it was always the last book in the series, even though there's some afterwards. But it was always the last one that they listed. Yeah, see, number 56. So it's like the last of the original before they like sort of wrote new ones later. But so this one was always like one that I had really wanted to read, and I was like, when I get there, I'll be finally done. So I'm gonna read this one. I think it looks really interesting too. This is like the little picture inside. It's like a cult or something. But yeah, I'm really excited. So I'm gonna start reading this. Hello, so it's a couple days later. I have finished the 13th Pearl, and I feel like I did read it before, which is okay. I'm finding a lot of books that I actually have just forgotten that I've read, but I've read. Anyways, I'm starting this new book today, the Kachina Doll Mystery. This is number 62, so it's like a newer Nancy Drew book, but it's still kind of the originals. So, I think after this book, I'll only have 3 more Nancy Drew books to read, so hopefully within the 12 hours I can do it. I've just hit 6 hours though, so I'm like halfway through, so it's going great. Yay, I just finished this book. It took me like only like 2.5 hours, not even that long. I read this in like one sitting. I always love when that happens, and they're so short, so I can just pick them up and finish them. So I will see you tomorrow for when I start a new book. So I've just hit 11 hours, which is crazy. I just finished the last book. So next up is The Swami's Ring. Okay, so I only have like 2 minutes left on the timer. I'm so happy. I'm ready to be done with this video, honestly. I love Nancy Drew books, but I'm ready to just be done with reading them. I only have one book left to read after I finish this book, which I'm not too far. I'm like 76, page 76. So really it's like 1.5 books left, but it was almost perfect. The timer almost matched the amount of books, but I'll just read those off camera. So after these 2 minutes are up, I think I'm just gonna stop the video and then kind of go through all the books I read. Yay, I'm done with the 24-hour reading challenge. Oh my gosh, I'm on page 80 of this book. I definitely am gonna finish it and read the other book, but maybe just not as fast. But yeah, now time for the little review of everything I read. So first off, we started the video with The Twin Dilemma. This got 5 stars, of course. And some of these books I can barely remember because it was like a couple months ago. I think this has to do with the model and some like twins, and Nancy has to like figure out who they are. So this was the first book. The second book I had already read, but this was The Mystery of the Glowing Eye, and this had like a lab experiment. I think someone like stole it. Anyways, this is like I read this book twice, but it's still 5 stars. Next, the third book was The Greek Symbol Mystery, and this Nancy actually traveled to Greece for this mystery, and I think she finds like a golden mask or something. I don't know, I have a really bad memory for these, but like once I start reading it, like I remember stuff. But yeah, this is the third book. The fourth book was The Secret in the Old Lace, and this has to do with like a Belgium prince and stuff, and like some historical things like that, and she like travels around to Europe. It's really cool. 5 stars again. Next, this book that I think I read like a week ago, The Secret of Mirror Bay. This book I also read, so this is the second time I read this, but it's okay. This one has to do with like staying in a cabin, finding treasure at the bottom of a lake. The 6th book I read was The 13th Pearl, and fun fact, this is actually like my 13th book that I read this year, so that was pretty cool. 1313. But this one has to do with a pearl that is stolen off a necklace, and Nancy goes to Japan, and it's really cool. There's like a cult. Next is The Kachina Doll Mystery. This is the 7th book that I read, and this one she goes to like Arizona on like this ranch, and she has to solve a mystery of like this doll that keeps like appearing. It's like a ghost. Next, the last book that I completed was The Flying Saucer Mystery, and this one has to do with like a supposed sighting of a UFO ship in the middle of like a forest. I don't actually know where they go, but they go to some like Amazon forest, but it's not the Amazon. I don't know. Anyways, this one was very interesting. And then last but not least, the one I'm currently reading, The Swami's Ring, and this one takes place in River Heights as far as I know so far, in her city of River Heights. She hasn't left yet. This one has to do with like a ring and a guy who lost his memory. So these are all the books. Wow, it looks like a lot, like when I hold them all up like this. I read 8.5 Nancy Drew books in 24 hours. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I definitely enjoyed most parts of it. Some parts, like it taking super long, were not as enjoyable, but I'm happy to finally get all of these books read. I got some books off my physical TBR, which is always great. I have too many of those. I just did a video about all of the books that I have to read, so I'll link that down below if you guys want to check that out. You can see all the books that I still have to read that I own. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!